You're starving. You've sold your last loaf of bread for a candle. Your candle melted on the way home. And the queen of your country is out here throwing garden parties that cost more than your entire village earns in a decade. Welcome to France, 1789, where the air is thick with perfume, powdered wigs, and the unmistakable scent of rebellion. France was a hot mess. On the outside, it still looked like your classic European fairy tale kingdom. Gold ceilings, royal carriages, and outfits that required scaffolding to get into. But underneath that shiny Versailles gloss, crippling debt, a tax system that made less sense than IKEA instructions, and a monarchy that genuinely believed reform was just another word for redecorating. Enter our cast of characters. First up, King Louis XVI. The man, the myth, the indecisive pudding. Louis wasn't a bad guy. He just had the leadership instincts of a wet sponge. Faced with financial catastrophe, he bravely chose to do nothing, then something, then nothing again. Then call the Estates General, which hadn't met in 175 years. Basically, it was like rebooting Windows 95 to fix a nuclear meltdown. And who showed up at this long-forgotten political reunion? 3 groups: the First Estate, clergy, the Second Estate, nobility, and the Third Estate, everyone else, peasants, urban workers, lawyers, goats, etc. The first 2 estates lived in tax-free comfort. The Third Estate paid all the taxes and still got assigned the political influence of a soggy napkin. So the Third Estate, sick of being the national punching bag, got spicy. They declared themselves the National Assembly and marched off to a tennis court. Not to play, but to swear they wouldn't leave until France had a constitution. It was bold, it was dramatic, it was sweaty. The tennis court oath marked the moment when France's underdogs became full-blown revolutionaries, with necks. And then, boom, Bastille Day, July 14th, 1789. Rumours flew that Louis was going to shut down the assembly by force. Parisians freaked out, formed mobs, and stormed the Bastille, a medieval prison with more symbolism than prisoners. They killed the guards, paraded their heads on pikes, and discovered that starting a revolution was surprisingly fun. Back in Versailles, Marie Antoinette looked up from her cake and asked if something was going on. Spoiler, something was very much going on. Now, the revolution was officially off-leash. The National Assembly tried writing a constitution, but between food riots, economic collapse, and peasants setting fire to castles, things got chaotic. Nobles fled the country faster than you could say guillotine, and Louis found himself more of a prisoner in his own palace than a king. Then came the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, which basically said, hey, humans have rights. Crazy, right? It was a noble document, but implementing it was like trying to run a democracy with toddlers hyped up on Enlightenment ideals and bread anxiety. Meanwhile, Louis made the brilliant decision to try and escape to Austria, which went about as well as trying to sneak out of a party while wearing a crown and riding in a gold carriage. He got caught, dragged back to Paris, and suddenly looked a lot like a guy with an expiration date. Cut to 1792. France declared itself a republic, and Louis got voted off the island by guillotine. January the 21st, 1793, his head took a solo trip to the basket. Marie followed a few months later, and just like that, monarchy went out of fashion faster than powdered wigs during a lice epidemic. But if you thought the revolution peaked with royal decapitations, Oh boy, welcome to the reign of terror. Led by Robespierre, who believed liberty, equality, and fraternity meant executing anyone who disagreed with him. The guillotine became France's national pastime. People were executed for complaining about the price of milk. Blink wrong. That's treason. Tie your cravat weirdly. Treason. Say you like the king's hair. Super treason. Eventually, Robespierre, who had turned paranoia into a political philosophy, lost his head too, literally. The revolution began eating its own, like a snake that started with the tail and worked its way up. So what was left? After all the chopping, fighting, and liberty shouting, France emerged with Napoleon. Yes. After killing a king to get rid of autocracy, they handed power to a short Corsican man who crowned himself emperor. Progress. The French Revolution was messy, bloody, and wildly chaotic. It started with idealism and ended with empire. It taught the world that you can overthrow your rulers, but maybe have a follow-up plan that doesn't involve mass execution or inviting short guys with military obsessions to take over.